Commons Speaker John Bercow insists his impartiality has not been affected after he revealed he had voted Remain in the EU referendum. The Sunday Telegraph reported that he had spoken about his voting stance to students at Reading University. A spokeswoman for the Speaker, expected to be politically neutral, said his vote against Brexit did not affect his ability to handle MPs' debates fairly. Labour Deputy Leader Tom Watson called Mr Bercow one of the great speakers. Mr Bercow, who was a Conservative MP before becoming Speaker, is already facing calls for him to be replaced for voicing his opposition to US President Donald Trump addressing Parliament on his UK state visit. Talking to Reading students on February 3, Mr Bercow said, "Personally, I voted to remain. I thought it was better to stay in the European Union than not." He said this was partly for economic reasons, being part of a big trade bloc, and partly because I think we're in a world of power blocs. I think for all the weaknesses and deficiencies of the European Union, it's better to be part of that big power bloc in the world than thinking you can act as effectively on your own. He also said immigration was a good thing and expressed concern Labour had not done more to strike a very clear, resonant Remain note. But Conservative MP James Duddridge, who has tabled a motion of no confidence in him, told BBC Radio 5 Live's Pioneers Politics he was no longer impartial and had to go. "There's absolutely no way Speaker Bercow can sit in the chair on European issues." But Leader of the House of Commons David Lidington told BBC One's Andrew Marr show that when he had served as Europe Minister, Mr Bercow had not been shy of calling those hostile to the UK's membership of the EU to speak in the Commons. His future was a matter for members of the House as a whole, Mr Lidington continued, and it was really important that the government doesn't get involved in saying who should be Speaker. He said the Speaker has his very strong supporters and his critics in the House of Commons, but had to have the confidence of the Commons as a whole. Honest and honourable. On the same programme, Mr Watson said Mr Bercow absolutely had the backing of MPs, adding, "He's one of the great speakers the House of Commons has seen. He gives backbenchers their voice." On ITV's Peston on Sunday, former Culture Secretary John Whittingdale, a prominent Brexit campaigner, said he was a bit surprised Mr Bercow had voted to stay in the EU, adding, "We had been told privately that he was sympathetic to our cause." Mr Bercow, who became Speaker in 2009, was coming to the end of his time, in any case, he added. Earlier this week, Mr Bercow defended his opposition to Mr Trump addressing Parliament. His comments, including accusing the US President of racism and sexism, had been made honestly and honourably and were within his remit, he told MPs. Several Conservatives have criticised those remarks, though, with one saying his career could be in jeopardy and another that he had damaged the national interest. Downing Street called his comments a matter for Parliament.